Okay. Good morning. I call to order the July meeting of the University of Minnesota Board of Regents. Good morning, everyone, and isn't it wonderful being in Crookston? I love it here, so
Yep.
thank you to Mary. Also, thanks to all you that joining us on live stream as well. Our first item is recognition of our outgoing Chief Technology Officer, Bernard Gulacek. President Cunningham, would you like to start?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Hipsch. And first, thank you all, everyone, to the staff at Crookston and to the Chancellor here for hosting us here today. First, I want to take a moment to recognize and honor a remarkable university leader, Bernie Gulacek, our Vice President for Information and Technology and Chief Information Officer, who will retire in August after an incredible 38-year career here at the University of Minnesota. Bernie's legacy is one of service, transformation, and collaboration. Since joining the university in 1986, he's been a driving force behind the modernization of our technology infrastructure. I can only imagine in 1986, the transformation from 1986 till now, right? Guiding the university through major changes with unwavering focus on the customer experience and operational excellence. His leadership helped shape more secure, resilient, and user-centered IT environment across our entire system. As CIO since 2015, Bernie led the creation of IT at UMN, aligning campus and central IT into a shared service model that has improved how we serve students, faculty, and staff, while also achieving real efficiencies in risk reduction. But Bernie's impact goes far beyond technology. He's been a trusted advisor, a collaborative partner, and a champion of innovation across the institution. Whether enabling cutting-edge research, supporting academic continuity during COVID, keeping our data safe, or simply ensuring our systems run smoothly every day, Bernie's work has touched all corners of the university. We thank Bernie for his decades of leadership, and even in my year here, it's been a pleasure to get to see his excellence and service, his deep commitment to our mission, and the positive difference he's made in the lives of so many. You will be missed, Vice President, but your legacy of thoughtful, forward-looking leadership will remain. Please join me in thanking and congratulating Bernie on his extraordinary service to the university.
Thank you, Bernard. Did you want to say anything?
Sure. I want to tell you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Madam President, what an honor and a privilege it's been to serve in this role for the last decade and several roles before that. I've really worked really hard in creating an IT management function and team that is highly responsive to the needs of the university and is seen as a strategic enabler and partner to achieving the university's goals and outcomes. And so with that, Mr. Chair, Madam President, members of the board, thank you for this acknowledgement. Thank you for the opportunity to have served this university. Thank you for your leadership and courage as you lead. And I just hope I've left the place better than I found it, right? Thank you.
Thank you so much. And yes, you have. You made it a lot better. So thank you for your service and enjoy your retirement. Thank you. Okay, our next second item is approval of the minutes and the consent report. The draft minutes are included in your docket. The consent report includes gifts, the Finance and Operations Committee consent report, and the Mission Fulfillment Committee consent report. Is there anyone who would like to ask a question, make a comment, or separate an item out to be voted on separately before I invite a motion to approve the minutes and the consent report? Is there a motion to approve the minutes and the consent report? Is there a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. The motion is approved. Okay. Next, we'll hear the report of the president. President Cunningham.
Thank you, Chair Hipsch. Today, I look forward to updating you on some highlights of the university's growing momentum and a shift in emphasis as we enter the second year of my presidency. But first, I think it's important that we all acknowledge once more the deep shock and lasting wound we suffered last month as individuals, as a university, as a state, and as a society with the loss of House Representative Speaker Emeriti Melissa Hortman and her husband, Mark. Our deepest sympathies go out to their families, as well as the state senator, John Hoffman, and his wife, Yvette, together with our wishes for their full recoveries. As some of you heard me say at our community gathering on June 18th, we may never fully be able to fathom or fully understand the grotesque violence against these public servants and their families. But we can say with certainty that this flies in the face of what Melissa and Mark demonstrated in their own lives. And we say with equal conviction that hatred and violence are the antithesis of what we stand for at the University of Minnesota. Political violence seeks to stifle speech, control ideas, and benefit few at the cost of many, and cut off the search for truth. The University of Minnesota seeks to benefit all through the free-flowing and respectful exchange of ideas and perspectives. Hatred is inherently selfish, and a university is the vital embodiment of collective action and our belief that we can achieve more as a community than we ever could alone. And a university like ours is predicated on the ideas of engaging with and serving a variety of publics in a variety of ways. An attack like this only causes us to double down on that commitment that we have to civic engagement and to work harder for the public good. As regents of the university, you play a unique and critical role in defending and advancing those values. And I want to thank you all for your self-giving dedication to our shared cause and for your continued support for this community, which means so much to our students and our state and the nation and the world. You all have gratitude. Crookston, it is significant that we are gathering here today in Crookston. Many of us traveled across a broad swath of Minnesota to be here. That is an important reminder of the breadth and depth of the University of Minnesota commitment to the entire state. And Crookston is a great place to see the real life impact of our deep mutual partnership with and service to our communities. One example among many from here in Crookston, the University of Minnesota Crookston is home to the Veben Center of Economic Development and Strategic Initiatives. The Veben Center's small business internship program is a classic win-win. The program matches and places our students with local businesses, giving the students practical skills and a leg up on career development. For the 15 small local businesses taking part this summer, including 4 on our tribal reservations, the program provides skilled and much needed help in fields such as digital marketing, website development, branding, and operational improvements. And for the region, the program is actively building a talent pipeline that will be essential to rural prosperity in the future. The Veben Center also hosts community seminars on everything from supply chain management to QuickBooks. This spring, the Veben Center partnered with White Earth Tribal and Community College to offer for credit programming in financial literacy, focusing on topics such as funding a small business and building generational wealth. I could talk about this for hours, but I won't. All across the campus, there are partnerships with state agencies, faculty experts, local organizations, and volunteers from the campus community that provide tangible help here in this region and across the state. The University of Minnesota is also built for this kind of win-win partnership at every level. Think about the university's strong and deep commitment and leadership exhibited through the Precision Agriculture Center. Over the past 30 years, the center has become a hub of researchers, professional leaders, and students from around the globe, all working on practical, profitable, and sustainable solutions to increasing food production and decreasing costs. That contributes in critical ways, again, to rural prosperity here and around the world while building food security for the entire nation. Turning to strategic planning, through our strategic plan, Maroon, Gold, and Bold, we are pushing to build even further on the kind of excellence in leadership, even as the challenges in our world faces grow with increasing complexity and urgency. As we lay out later for the board today in the case for change and strategic imperatives, we'll do that by making choices to better educate our students to be engaged citizens. We'll do this by addressing societal challenges, and we'll do it by deepening our partnerships with our communities. We seek to lead in fields like environmental health, human health, and artificial intelligence, and we seek to strengthen the institution and community that makes all of this possible, the University of Minnesota. We will have much more detail for you in coming months as the university finalizes the plan and brings together implementation. This is just one of the milestones that I'm looking forward to here in my second year as university president. My first year was a building year, building my own understanding of engagement with the university, building a strong leadership team that can carry forth our bold vision into the future, and building the plans that show us the way and the team that can get us there. All of that will continue in year 2, of course, but even as our momentum grows, I look forward to seeing a continued shift in emphasis and preparing for what we're doing. In addition to completing and beginning activation of our strategic plan, I expect by Labor Day, we will have more information for you as well as for physicians and the general public on the future of healthcare for Minnesota. The board created both a medical school and a University of Minnesota physicians clinical practice that has become the cornerstone of patient care, education, and physician workforce development and scientific advancement in the state. But as healthcare rapidly changes, our university healthcare enterprise, our physician practice, and now our medical school too needs to adapt. And as you know, we're in the midst of confidential negotiations with our current partner, Fairview Services, and another major provider, Essentia Health, to develop partnership and organizational model that can best address Minnesota's most pressing needs. On today's meeting agenda, we'll also hear recommendations soon from the System Optimization Working Group, a board priority for last year. In 2024, I tasked this high-level group of chancellors, vice presidents, and other key leaders with identifying ways in which the university can operate more effectively as a system of campuses in one university, and how this amazing university can act in concert to be more than the sum of their parts. Their recommendations will move us forward together in significant ways. In similar fashion, today, Lisa Lewis and her alumni in her alumni relations in partnership with the chancellors and their teams across each of our campuses are building a shared strategy for a more cohesive and integrated alumni organization, one that will better leverage the collective strength of the university on multiple fronts. In terms of another transition, our provost transition, I mentioned that before that an important part of year 1 for me was building a strong leadership team. And I want to thank this board for your approval last month of the appointment of Dr. Gretchen Ritter as the university's executive vice president and provost. Dr. Ritter brings full dedication to the university's academic and community mission and deep excellence in leading complex institutions like ours through good times and through challenges. She also brings a deep appreciation for Minnesota and its people. She begins on July 31st, and our leadership team looks forward to partnering with her to build on academic excellence across our entire university, across our colleges, campus, and units, and to deepen our commitment to Minnesota and engagement throughout our state. As you know, some questions were raised in the search process, and I want to assure you this was a highly competitive national search. The search involved broad representation of many faculty, students, and staff, and benefited from the scrutiny and voices of faculty governance representatives, university leaders, and other important stakeholders at every stage of the process. Importantly, by maintaining confidentiality of our candidates, we were able to attract and engage with an outstanding pool of candidates. This is consistent with the approach of our peer institutions and an important reason we were able to reach this outcome, which holds much promise for the university. Finally, I'd like to thank again Rachel Croson for her service to the university as provost and her support for me as I stepped into this role. Those of you who work closely with her know that she gave herself fully to the university, to its faculty, students, and staff, and to the mission that remains our North Star. Finally, you'll notice that one thing I have not mentioned in this report is the national crisis in higher education. This is not, unfortunately, because the crisis has passed or because I've taken lightly the challenges facing this university and higher education. It will take all that I have and all that you can offer together with our entire university community to ensure that we can continue to educate our students and serve Minnesota at a worthy level. We face pressures today never seen before in higher education, and we will encounter real pain points and wrestle with significant setbacks. We will have to bring courage, resilience, and our best ideas to this complex web of risks. We'll be talking about this more, I'm sure, in our retreat tomorrow. But I firmly believe that in the long run, the best defense of this university and all of higher education will come from continuing to grow in excellence, in educating future citizens and leaders, in making new discoveries, expanding knowledge, and bringing visible, concrete benefits to our communities and our constituents. This is what we do best, and we must do it even better if we hope to rebuild the trust in higher education that secures the future of this critical institution. This is why I'm so excited to share with you some of the highlights we've discussed today and why, regardless of the distractions, I remain committed every day to our core mission. As always, thank you for your partnership, your care, your vision, and your support of the University of Minnesota.
Thank you, President Cunningham. So now I'll turn to my report. Most of my report is the drive up here. So I'm going to be honest, you can't go by a field or a town without seeing the University of Minnesota on every square inch of every piece of land, across every bridge, in every town, in the hospitals, in the plants that we serve, in the internships, in the precision ag and irrigator programs, everything. So as you're driving back to the cities, take a hard look at everything and just think about what would it be here if the University of Minnesota wasn't here? And this is probably the only time I can say I'm from southern Minnesota, perm. So it sounds like, because it's not really southern Minnesota, but anyways. I'd like to thank, again, Chancellor Mary Holtz-Claus and her team for their hospitality in hosting the board's meeting and retreat here at the Crookston campus. They have been excellent partners to work with and have provided a warm welcome to us. As is our practice each July, the board will work with the president to begin mapping out our priorities for the upcoming academic year. Those priorities will be shared in the fall and posted on the board's website. The board is also looking forward to engaging with President Cunningham as we shape the university's new strategic wide plan. Before we review and act on the final version this year, the new plan will guide the university for the next 10 years. Let me express the board's appreciation to everyone across the university that provided input into this process. And that concludes my report. So item 4 is the receive and file reports, which include the virtual forum comments leaked to the docket. Okay. The next item I'd like to welcome is Director of Intercollegiate Athletics, Mark Coyle, and Deputy Athletics Director and Chief Financial Officer, Tim McCleary, to share the annual report on intercollegiate athletics for the Twin Cities campus. President Cunningham, would you like to introduce this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before Athletic Director Coyle begins, I wanted to briefly comment on the success of our student athletes in academics as well as in competition. Athletic Director Coyle and the coaching staff across our programs have done a phenomenal job again this year, even as we weather a very changing landscape of college athletics. The 95% graduation rate for Gopher Athletics is worth celebrating, as is the average cumulative GPA of 3.46. These are incredibly strong numbers across our peers and very worthy of pride. The focus on academic success ensures that Gophers are ready to take on their next chapter once athletic competition is behind them. With that, I'd like to turn this over to Athletic Director Coyle. Thank you so much.
Good morning, Chair Hips, and thank you, President Cunningham. I hope you can hear me okay. I'm on my phone in Savannah, Georgia, so I will go through this. I'm at NCAA basketball committee meetings, and I'll be doing this obviously via Zoom, and Tim McCleary, our Deputy Athletics Director, will join me as well. But if we could progress to the next slide, please. I wanted to provide you with a quick update on the state of college athletics. As you all know, Minnesota is a proud member, a legacy member of the Big Ten, and was a founding member of the conference in 1896, along with Chicago, Illinois, Michigan, Northwestern, Purdue, and Wisconsin. 6 of those schools, Chicago being the exception, are still members of the Big Ten today. As you all know, the Big Ten expanded to 18 universities last August as we added UCLA, USC, Oregon, and Washington. The Big Ten and the SEC are the 2 most prominent and influential conferences in college athletics. On June 6th, so just this past month, a federal judge approved terms of an antitrust settlement, which now allows schools to directly pay students through licensing deals. Minnesota is committed to revenue sharing with student athletes from football, women's basketball, men's basketball, volleyball, men's hockey, gymnastics, women's hockey, and softball. In addition, we've added 11 scholarships, 6 for women and 5 for men. Minnesota is working to onboard the newly established College Sports Commission, which will oversee the new enforcement of the new model as we move forward. I want to point out, and I appreciate President's comments about our academic success. We will still provide a world-class education and tremendous athletic opportunities for our student athletes as we navigate this changing landscape. And Dingytown Athletes, which is our official NIL collector for Gopher Athletics, is still a critical part of the department's success. Next slide, please. I wanted to talk about the focus on our students. As you all know, we have 22 varsity sports programs with more than 600 student athletes. Our FY26 budget is projected to be at $174 million. According to a recent outside study by eConsult Solutions, Gopher Athletics generates more than $473 million annually in economic impact in Minnesota, and more than 1.3 million people visit campus each year because of athletics. Gopher sporting events totaled 28 million plus in TV viewership per Learfield. Gopher Athletics brand value was more than 205 million per Nielsen ratings. And we have more than 74 million annual social media impressions. So obviously we're a very visible part of the institution. Student body attendance at athletic events was more than 125,000. And we also want to point out that we continue to provide mental health resources and support to all of our student athletes, with more than 60 or nearly 60% of our student athletes having used these services during their career at Minnesota. Next slide, please. Academically, our student athlete grade point average was a 3.45 this past spring. Our cumulative grade point average is a 3.46, which is a department record. As President Cunningham noted, we have a graduation rate of 95%. Minnesota has now recorded the 7 highest graduation rates in school history during the last 7 years, with the school record 96% in 2021, 95% in 2024 and 23, 94% in 2022 and 2020 and 2019, and 93% in 2018. Our academic progress rate, we have 14 programs with a perfect APR score. 6 programs have a perfect 1,000 multi-year rate. Academic all Big Ten, 379 of our student athletes have achieved that. We've had 140 student athletes be recognized as distinguished scholars in the Big Ten. Academic All-Americans, we are now up to 8. We had 2 who were announced yesterday. We are tied for first in the Big Ten and tied for 4th in the nation with respect to the number of academic All-Americans. Academic All-District, we are at 40. That is first in the Big Ten and 3rd in the nation. And then academic All-Americans since 2016-17 academic year, we've had 88 student athletes achieve that. So again, we're very proud of what our student athletes have done academically. Athletically, and I won't read through this whole slide because I know there's a lot of information, but we finished 39th in the Learfield Directors Cup out of 303 Division I institutions. That places us in the top 12.8% in college athletics. We had national titles won by a track student athlete, Costas Saltos, in outdoor track and field. Our Spirit Squad won a national championship. We had several individual student athletes earn Big Ten titles this past year. And of course, our men's hockey team won the Big Ten regular season title. And then other highlights, our football team finished 8-5 with the bowl win in the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Our volleyball team advanced to the 2nd round. Women's soccer was 14-5-3 and went to the Sweet 16 of the NCAA tournament. Women's cross country finished 18th at the NCAA championship. Swimming and diving was 27th, and the men finished 28th. Wrestling finished 5th at the NCAA championships. Women's hockey advanced to the Frozen Four. Women's basketball went 25-11 and was the WBIT champions of that postseason tournament. Gymnastics was 17-7 and 3rd in the Big Ten. And outdoor track and field, the men were 2nd at the Big Ten championship and finished 7th at the NCAA championship. And our women finished 7th at the Big Ten championship. So again, academically and athletically, our student athletes continue to achieve high marks. With that, I'll turn over to Deputy Athletics Director Tim McCleary.
All right, thank you, Mark. Vice Chairs Johnson and Wheeler and Chair Hips, thank you for the opportunity to present today. First, I will cover FY25, and then we'll move on to an overview of FY26. For FY25, we are pleased to anticipate finishing the year with a balanced operating budget. The books are not closed until next week, and the NCAA report is not released until January. Athletics has balanced the budget every year under Mark Coyle, with the exception of FY20 and FY21, which were impacted by COVID. The following comments summarize FY25, and some apply to our financial picture in general. We exceeded our revenue budget, with the largest positive variances coming from the Big Ten's participation in the college football playoff. We also exceeded our fundraising revenue budget, despite significant funds going to NIL that may have otherwise come to the athletic department. While ticket revenue was slightly down after a consistent upward trend since FY19, virtually all other revenue categories were up, including concessions, licensing, and outside event rentals. With our expenses, we came in under the operating budget. We budgeted a $3 million bottom line deficit for FY 25, which included a $3.5 million contingency line item for NIL payments directly from the university. There were no changes in state laws or NCAA rules allowing these payments during the year, which resulted in $3.5 million in budget savings. Another significant budget variance was savings from a change in the fringe policy, which helped offset one-time expenses related to the men's basketball coaching transition. Outside of these categories, the budget variances are smaller and mostly offsetting. We've been able to manage expenses with significant pressure from competitive market factors, NCAA rule changes, facility maintenance, and inflation. Prior to COVID, our budget ranked 8 out of 14 in the Big Ten. Our FY 25 budget ranked 14 out of 18 in the Big Ten, and we expect it to be 14 or 15 in FY 26. FY 24 is the most recent year with reported actual totals, and our expenses were $30 million lower than the average. We were, however, 11 out of 18 in self-generated revenue, meaning that some other institutions appear to be investing more through campus support. Related to inflation, our FY 25 sports, facilities, and support units budgets were $6.7 million lower than FY 19 adjusted for inflation. We have not fully recovered from the significant cuts coming out of COVID. In planning for the House settlement starting in FY 26, we are operating fully aware that our peers will be investing 100%, not only in the $20.5 million institutional NIL payments to student athletes, but also continuing to invest in traditional areas, including coaches and facilities. We are fortunate to have excellent facilities, and many compare favorably with our peers. With that said, maintaining facilities in their current state will continue to put pressure on our budget. As we head into the House settlement era, we have also been fortunate for the combined talents and efforts of existing staff members to take on new roles to evaluate talent, value and allocate institutional NIL dollars, negotiate with agents, and comply with the terms of the settlement. This is an area where other schools have made significant new investments and new staff. As you will see on the next slide, revenue from Big Ten TV contracts is by far our highest source of revenue. And if you could back it up one more, please. By far our highest source of revenue. Like us, our Big Ten peers continue to invest revenue from all sources in competitive excellence to represent their universities at a high level with exposure and university brand enhancement that is not matched in the country. Before getting to the FY 26 budget, we will first provide a quick overview of our primary revenue buckets for context. The Big Ten distribution is almost all tied to media rights for football and to a lesser extent men's basketball. The NCAA money is almost entirely tied to the men's basketball tournament. The Big Ten and NCAA distribution is shared equally in the Big Ten, with the exception of Oregon and Washington, who receive about half as part of their agreement as new members in FY 25. Ticket sales are made up of single game sales and the ticket value assigned to season tickets. The scholarship seating donation tied to season tickets is included in the fundraising category. Within these categories, football, men's basketball, and men's hockey amount to 93% of the ticket and scholarship seating total. The other components of fundraising include donations utilized for capital projects, salaries and fringe, and programming such as student athlete development and leadership. We operate in a very competitive market for both ticket sales and fundraising. The next largest individual category is sponsorships, which primarily comes from our multimedia rights partner, Gopher Sports Properties, a division of Learfield. This includes corporate sponsorships sold in our venues, on our website, on social media, and our radio broadcasts. Lastly, the other category is comprised of items such as licensing, concessions, parking, endowment earnings, facility rentals, outside events, and institutional support. These are all of the revenue categories for our athletic department, and the other departments around the country. Next slide, please. So now looking more specifically at our FY26 revenue budget. You can see clearly the impact of our membership in the Big Ten as our largest revenue category. The Big Ten and NCAA category includes the Big Ten TV revenues, Big Ten bowl game and CFP revenues, and NCAA revenues, with the TV revenue by far the largest category. The Big Ten TV contracts have escalators that assist with managing inflation and other cost pressures. We are very fortunate to be in the Big Ten, where distributions are relatively equal with the SEC and at least $30 million higher than the ACC and the Big 12. With the Big Ten and the SEC receiving a larger portion of the CFP revenues starting in FY27, the gap between the ACC and the Big 12 is expected to grow. An important note with the NCAA distribution is that it has a reduction that started in FY25 related to the back damages from the House settlement. The next highest category is ticket sales. Our budget is slightly down about 1% despite an overall upward trend since FY19. Football, volleyball, and men's hockey have performed well over the last 4 to 5 years. Women's basketball is up from 3 years ago, and we are hopeful for growth in men's basketball. The fundraising budgets is slightly lower than ticket sales. We continue to be very fortunate for the generosity of our donors and the hard work of staff involved in fundraising. NIL has impacted the fundraising to the athletic department in recent years, as NIL deals do not go through the university. So the NIL deals do not go through the university, but we rely on the same sources, many of the same sources for donations to the athletic department. Our fundraising budget is down about 2%, but overall engagement and commitments that impact Gopher Athletics are very thankfully up. For the sponsorship and other categories, the key factors are as follows. We have recent growth across the board in the various categories. Licensing is up with the biggest impact from EA Sports College Football, which has been a great showcase and means for exposure for Gopher football and the university brand as a whole. Concessions and retail apparel are up due to attendance and investments in service and product offerings, and indications are that those trends will continue. With sponsorships, the athletics allocation from the Coke agreement is also up slightly. A nice success story is outside event rentals, which have outpaced the budget significantly the past 2 years, with events that include high school sports playoffs, bringing many local youth and families to campus. For FY26, we have 2 unique large events that have increased the events budget substantially for FY26, including the Farm Aid concert at the Huntington Bank Stadium in September and the World Junior Hockey Tournament at 3M Mariucci in late December. Next summer, the United States Special Olympics will be hosted on campus and will heavily be using many athletics facilities. These events are a huge opportunity to showcase campus to people from all over the state, the country, and the world. The campus support category includes a funds transfer from the university that has been relatively flat over the past 10 years, and a student athletics facility fee that is new for FY26. The university funds transfer was higher years ago, peaking at $10 million in 2007, which would be over $15 million in FY26 adjusted for inflation. The actual FY26 amount will be about $7.6 million. The athletic facility fee was part of the university budget presented in June. The fee is $100 per semester, which is below Duluth at $111 and above Crookston and Morris that are at $69 and $70 respectively. There is significant athletic facility usage by the general student body, and this fee allows the Twin Cities campus to be in line with the other campuses to support general infrastructure and assist with the overall budget plan. Another area of campus support is tuition reduction. Tuition reduction has increased in recent years, primarily to help offset the impact of increasing non-resident tuition charged to athletics. The tuition support is not included on this slide, but reduces the scholarships total on the expense slide. In total, the campus support items amount to about 12% of the overall athletics budget for FY26. 15 years ago, the campus support to athletics was about 15%. It is important to know that athletics contributes to the campus budget directly through paying things like tuition, room and board, campus overhead / cost pool, and the university, police, and emergency management. These categories alone will be over $22 million in FY26. It is important that athletics operates as an asset to the broader university, and it is important to highlight the various ways in which athletics generates value to elevate the overall university. Mark shared some very significant figures related to economic impact, brand value, and exposure. A few other areas where athletics is able to provide value to the university include tuition, room and board paid by non-full ride student athletes, totaling roughly $10 million annually. The discounted value of student tickets totaling roughly $3.5 million annually. The athletic department employing students in the department totaling roughly $1.5 million annually. Sponsorships, parking revenue, and other revenue generated by the athletics brand and athletics operations that is allocated to other areas of the university. And most importantly, overall enrollment and valuable academic and research affiliations are impacted by athletics and the university's membership in the Big Ten. We hope this information is helpful. It is important to know that financial relationships with athletic departments and universities have many similarities to us across the country. While it may be difficult to compare exact differences, it appears that some may be relying on a higher level of campus investment, and it appears that some may be increasing that investment at a higher rate. With significant changes now upon us, competing at the highest level and intentionally working together in new ways can allow athletics and the university to propel each other to new heights. Next slide, please. Now looking at our FY26 expense budget. Salaries and benefits is the largest category. Similar to the university as a whole, athletics is a people-driven enterprise with a wide variety of functions that go into supporting our 22 sports and operations that are critical to competitive success, compliance, revenue generation, and student-athlete experience. Recruiting and retaining staff is critical. We remain in the bottom half or bottom third of the Big Ten for most coaching positions and at or below the campus midpoint for most support staff positions. In FY24, the most recent information available, total salaries and fringe were $8 million less than the conference average. Our FY26 salaries budget is up 2.3% over FY25, which is primarily the impact of our investments in men's basketball, the 4% campus merit market increase program, and offsetting variances from changes to the fringe policy and reallocation of work for various positions. Since COVID, we have had roughly 40 positions that have not been filled one-to-one or not at all, with about 1/3 of those in the past year. Now to operations. This category primarily includes operating budgets for sports and support units, such as athletic medicine, event operations, and the ticket office. Lumping in facility operations, our core FY26 operating budgets are $5 million less than pre-COVID adjusted for inflation. This is primarily due to roughly 20% cuts coming out of COVID, followed by significant inflation. As noted before, we continue to have operating budget cost pressure from a variety of sources. With the new $20.5 million commitment to institutional NIL and the $1.5 million to House settlement back damages, we developed the FY26 budget with a 5% cut to numerous departments that were already down from COVID or down adjusted for inflation. Overall, our operations budget is up 2.5% due to increases in security costs, medical, software, and travel. And the travel part is partly due to the Big Ten's expanded footprint. Facility operations is up due to increases in utilities, custodial, and repair and replacement projects for critical and failing end-of-life facility functions. Many of these projects are performed by the University Facilities Department. The scholarships category includes the traditional tuition, room and board, and in recent years, this category also included academic achievement payments from the Alston Supreme Court case. With the implementation of the House settlement, that program has been discontinued, which was a tough decision that saves $2.5 million annually and helps to fund the $22 million commitment from the House settlement. Additionally, we have the $3.5 million department NIL in the FY25 budget that was reallocated to assist with investing in the $22 million for the House settlement. Debt services has primarily included Athletes Village, Huntington Bank Stadium, the outdoor track, and the aquatic center, which is run by Reckwell. We have continued to pay down outstanding debt principal balances totaling $37 million in the last 5 years, with annual debt service down about $4 million. We have new debt in FY26 related to the ice plants at 3M and Ritter, which were replaced after reaching the end of their useful life and new environmental regulations. Note that both facilities are used regularly by other campus units and the community. The other loan is for the women's gymnastics practice facility, which was needed due to a campus decision to repurpose their previous building for the benefit of the greater university and to meet Title IX standards. The cost pool is an allocation of campus overhead expenses, which increases each year outside of a drop during COVID. In summary, the FY26 operating budget is submitted with $165.4 million in total revenue and $174.2 million in total expenses. It reflects a forecast based on the information we have at this time, and we will work to manage it while working with campus leadership to best position the department and university for success. Due to collaboration and alignment, we are in a strong position to embrace this new era. As noted, the budget reflects continued investments and market-driven competitive factors, including the $20.5 million institutional NIL and the transition in leadership for our men's basketball program. In FY24, the most recent year of reporting, our football, men's basketball, and men's hockey teams netted about $63 million combined to the bottom line. With the investment in institutional NIL, it is critical to remain committed to success in these programs in order to support broad-based programming and to further grow the impact that athletics generates for the university and the state as a Big Ten program. Next slide for Mark.
Thank you. And as Tim noted, obviously we're going through a dramatic change in college athletics, and obviously our campus partners, President Cunningham, Greg Goldman, and others are so supportive with purchasing and other support for our program to help us continue to move forward. Our last slide, we wanted to address each year we provide the board with an update on new coaches. As Tim mentioned, we hired a new men's basketball coach, Nico Medved. He was named our 19th men's basketball coach this past March. He has 12 years of head coaching experience. He was at Colorado State, where he took them to 3 NCAA tournaments in the past 4 years. He was an assistant coach at Minnesota, where he started his career. He has his undergraduate and master's degree from the University of Minnesota. And probably most importantly to us, he's a good person, and he received the Skip Prosser Man of the Year Award after the 23-24 season, which is an award presented annually to the NCAA Division I coach who wins with integrity on and off the court. And you've heard me talk about this before, how important that doing it right in Minnesota matters. So we're very grateful for Coach Medved and his family moving here to be our next head men's basketball coach. With that, we are happy to take any questions, Chair Hipsch.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments for either of these individuals? I just want to thank you both for really managing through a really tough time in athletics and for doing a great job with our student athletes and giving them a chance to success. So does anybody else have any comments or questions? Regent Wheeler.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Chair Hips, and thank you, Director Coyle and Deputy Director McCleary. So first of all, the performance on and off the field is just exemplary. So I mean, in the classroom, in the field, and we're just so proud of that. And the complexities, as Chair Hips referred to, of athletics is just mind-boggling. My question is, when we've been able to, overall collectively budget this within 1%, now all of a sudden we have about a 5% delta, about a $9 million gap. What do we foresee of that going to the future, and what implications does that have for the university overall?
Thank you.
Chair Hips, Regent Wheeler, thank you for the question, and I do appreciate your comments about the academic and athletic success of our student athletes. As I mentioned when Tim finished his comments, our Chair Wheeler, our Vice Regent Wheeler, we are so thankful for the support we have from President Cunningham, Greg Goldman, Julie Thompson, our campus partners. We understand that there is a different delta this year, and we fully expect to continue to work with our campus partners to navigate our way through these changing landscapes. We feel comfortable that we will be able to navigate. If you remember, a year ago, we had a budget deficit of about 3.5 million, I believe, and we were able to, as Tim noted, hit our budget this year. So again, we'll continue to work closely with campus, who have been incredibly supportive of our student athletes in our program to help us achieve that academic and athletic success.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
No, thank you. And I want to thank you, Director Coyle, for navigating through this complex situation. But we'll have to look at the budgetary implications of this going forward, as it's so complex. So thank you.
I agree. Any other questions? Okay, well, thank you. Have a nice day, and we're gonna move on to our next item. Thank you for presenting. Okay, now we're going to hear an update on the work of the System Optimization Working Group from Rochester Chancellor Lori Carroll, Crookston Chancellor Mary Holtzclaus, Vice President Provost, and Dean for Undergraduate Education on the Twin Cities campus, Ra Singh. President Cunningham, would you like to start us off on this item?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I hope you'll all share the excitement around this next item as we discuss the recommendations of the System Optimization Working Group. As you recall, I charged this group last fall to assist in responding to a board priority, this board established and that I heard about from my very first days of interviewing. In short, to define the functional hallmarks of an optimal university system where the campuses are greater than the sum of their individual missions. This was no easy task, but this group, under the leadership of Chancellor Carroll, Chancellor Holtzclaus, and Vice Provost Singh, undertook hundreds of hours of work to come up with the thoughtful recommendations that will be presented today. This group recognizes that although they've delivered their final recommendations, that this work is just beginning. I remind them of that a fair amount. I'm looking forward to their report and to the discussion to follow. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to turn it over to the presenters.
When you're ready.
Good morning, Chair Hips, Regents. It's wonderful to be with you here in Crookston today, and it has been a year since your last July retreat when you charged this goal and the president charged our working group. Next slide. The three of us are here to provide the recommendations of the System Optimization Working Group. And you last heard from us in February when we shared a midterm progress report. Next slide. I think we might be a slide ahead. As co-chairs, the three of us have been working with a wonderful group of people. Here they are. Not only was our conversation robust this year, as the president mentioned, we also formed important connections that will fuel our work going forward. And now the next slide. There are many potential facets of system optimization, and quite early we came to consensus that our primary focus would be on the student experience. We're making recommendations we believe will create a future state in which student opportunities are clearly enhanced by our strength and distinctiveness as a system of campuses known as the University of Minnesota. Slide. Our coming maroon, gold, and bold strategic plan is anticipated to set a vision for transformative cooperative initiatives that enhance the student experience. And to enable that kind of collective excellence, there are structural and cultural changes needed, as well as the removal of inadvertent barriers. Next slide. We have been busy since that February update, gathering input from within the university and across the state. And given all that we learned and following numerous intense discussions, we have prioritized our list of recommendations in terms of both importance and chronology. So you can see in your docket materials, phases, priorities, and initial imperatives. Next slide. First things first, phase 1, priority 1. We are advocating for a new structure to advance these recommendations. We're so pleased to have a vice president for strategic initiatives who can gather and facilitate a new system collaborative. The system collaborative will include the roles represented in the working group that you just saw, as well as the provost and dean of extension. For each additional prioritized recommendation you will see today after phase 1, priority 1, further analysis will be needed to determine change management process details and potential costs. Those groups may need additional expertise beyond the system collaborative. For example, IT expertise will be needed to remove the pesky R, C, D, and M's from our email addresses. We are calling those recommendation-specific subgroups rapid innovation teams, as we expect to move each recommendation to action as quickly as possible. And though we all aspire to rapidly remove barriers, we need to manage expectations just a bit. So in some cases, like the shared calendar, it may take a significant period of time to enact after the decision is made. We know that structure shapes culture, and we strongly recommend this structural change as a more efficient approach than a system office, and as a needed mechanism of collaboration with defined responsibilities that will advance system optimization going forward. And now, phase 1, priority 2, our vice provost.
Good morning. I hope you can hear me. It's Chair Hipsch, members of the board. It's a great honor to be a member of this work group. I want to thank President Cunningham for giving me this opportunity. As Chancellor Carroll mentioned, the working group primarily focused on the student experience. We as a group are convinced that we need to remove barriers so that a student perceives us as one university with 5 campuses, irrespective of which campus they start their academic journey from. We believe that removing these barriers will enable students to take advantage of the academic resources across campuses, and also, if they so desire, transfer easily between them. Having a common academic calendar, something you might have heard about before, is perhaps the most obvious and non-surprising imperative in this. This will allow students to have the same deadlines to enroll, to withdraw from courses, coordinate their academic calendar, explore classes across all campuses, and so on and so forth. Second, as students consider their options to transfer across campuses or take courses at other campuses, we must make course equivalencies more transparent to students. There should be no surprises when a student transfers from one campus to another, or when a student chooses to take a course at another campus. They should not have to worry about whether they meet the prerequisites or not. Third, we as a work group recommend that just as when a student who has fulfilled the requirements of the Minnesota transfer curriculum from a Minnesota state institution at any of the 2-year institution, we deemed them to have completed the general education requirement at our campuses. Surprisingly, this is not true when a student transfers by default from one of our other campuses. There is no reason why we should not do the same for our own students. Today, this process is onerous at best. We are recommending that this becomes a default and becomes a routine. Our 4th imperative on the student experience front concerns the schedule builder. This is something you might not have heard about. This is a tool the students use to find courses that fulfill the requirements or that pique their interest. We recommend that when a student searches for a course, They should see relevant online courses at all campuses at the same time in the most transparent and obvious way, just as they see courses on their home campus. This again will allow students to get way more options than they do today. Lastly, we recommend that the multi-institution tuition and fee process that the students find confusing and administrators and staff find super burdensome should be simplified and made way more transparent. Next slide, please. In addition to the 5 imperatives I've talked about, we have identified operational changes that would enhance the student experience. Chancellor Carroll has already referred to what she called the pesky email addresses. If we want students to feel they're part of a larger university community, do we really need them to have email specific to the campus where they start? This not only is aesthetic point of view, this also makes it easier for them to go to libraries, access resources, and so on and so forth. We believe that will be quite impactful if the campuses or units could make the criteria for accepting transfers more transparent. This would give students agency and allow us to genuinely claim that we will help them find a campus that is right for them. Here, I'm thinking of a student I met at Carlson, my home college, about 6 years ago, who was concerned about the large size of the Twin Cities campus. It would have been super reassuring to that student if they knew they could go to Morris or go to Crookston guaranteed if the TC campus did not work out for them. Lastly, we need to work harder at sharing information and best practices across campuses. For example, a student's record is today not visible across all of our campuses. A student can transfer, but their academic violations don't go with them. They should. We hope that this can be easily corrected. All members of our working group are really enthusiastic about implementing these recommendations for the student experience, as we feel this will make a really positive impact on the journey. With that, let me pass the baton to Chancellor Holtzclass, who will take you through the last part of our presentation.
Thank you, Raj. Chair Hips and members of the board, thank you so much for being in Crookston. We're looking forward to your visit here today. So when I say the U or the University of Minnesota, what comes to mind? Well, it is the hope of the Systemist Group that soon when we say the U or the University of Minnesota, it'll mean all the resources and treasures of all of the University of Minnesota. For instance, we want to call out, when I say UC, University of California, sometimes we say UCLA, UC San Diego, UC Irvine, UC Riverside, and so on, and UC Merced. So we want and hope that when we say the U and the University of Minnesota, that it will be UC Twin Cities, UC Rochester, and so forth, because we want to grow and enhance the culture of one university in strategic communications. So in the communications field too, obviously it's going to take significant work to support the various initiatives in priority 1 and 2 that Raj just spoke about. So going forward, it is our hope to implement strategies so people can have system opportunities that will be outlined in their job descriptions. They will know their system roles and be accountable to their colleagues across the state. In fact, we even suggest an annual gathering of all of those who have system responsibilities. Another recommendation of this committee is to have employees on board so they know about the University of Minnesota. We're unique in the state of Minnesota. We are the research university where so much discovery takes place, and we are the land grant where the promise of public higher education endures as brightly today as it did 163 years ago. We have and we continue to change the lives of Minnesotans and beyond. So we want to continue to provide access to many and educate the children of working families. Next slide, please. Another recommendations we have is we would like it to be considered when a new research center or institute is developed, that there be a discussion about where it be housed. And all centers and institutes are open to all faculty in the system. That's happening some, but we would like to see that much more significant. And we'd also like to advocate to create cooperative academic adventures using the academic innovation teams that Chancellor Carroll spoke about to create multidisciplinary problem-based academic programs. And a priority two, we want to create strategic coordination with alumni relations that you actually will hear about in a few moments, and even stronger relationships with Extension and the Minnesota State System. We look forward to deepening our connections and working more closely with the University of Minnesota Foundation. Next slide, please. So at this time, we look forward to your questions and discussions. We know we put a lot out there from the system optimization group and look forward to your thoughts and ideas about what's been presented here.
Thank you for the presentation. This is really exciting. Very exciting. I think it's going to pay huge dividends for the state and for the university when this gets fully integrated. My question is, how involved have the research and outreach centers been on this? Because of how many of those do we have across the state? And are they involved in this one university system as well?
Thank you for the question, Chair Hips. And the research and outreach centers, the ROCs, which are part of CFAN, have been through Raj and through CFANs involved. There was an extensive survey that was done at the very beginning for us to try to get ideas and so forth that would be there. And so individuals had an opportunity early on. And we are now presenting to you, as I said, sort of our final recommendations, recognizing that, hopefully all of them can be implemented. We recognize this is a process. It's, as we said, there are some things that are outlined there that are very, they're going to take years for some of these to be addressed with that. So, yeah. And again, we really want a much stronger work with Extension and ROC, all of our outreach and engagement across the state of Minnesota. We know we're in every county, but sometimes we're not communicating together as well as we need to. So thank you for the question.
Thank you. I think the student experience is going to be improved dramatically with transferring and credits and everything else. Okay, Regent Tad Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for your presentation, chancellors and vice president. As a former prof, I think these are all good ideas and kind of long overdue. On the Duluth campus, we would start the school year in like the last 1/3 of August. And if you've been in northeastern Minnesota, there's like 4 good weeks, the last 2 weeks in August and the first 2 weeks in September. And students were and professors were having a very hard time leaving summer and coming back. So if we all get on one calendar, that would help a lot. This is more of a comment, but having run 2 graduate programs at UMD, we always wanted, there were Humphrey students that wanted to take our graduate programs at UMD, which were online and not too hard to, were not difficult to be accessed. But we had a couple of problems. One was coordinating the calendars. The other was they were getting billed by both the Twin Cities campus and the Duluth campus. So I'm hoping that with the work, and I commend the entire group on these endeavors, we can eliminate a lot of those issues of and make it easier for those who want to take courses on other campuses, especially now with a couple more things going online, that we can endeavor to make that easier and give students the best possible education that they are seeking. Thank you.
Any comments or? Anything? Oh, did you have something to reach, Carly?
No.
Okay, sorry, okay, so I have another question. On the bottom of page 114 on my docket, what is multi-institution? You explain that a little bit more, how that is incorporated into this?
Raj?
Sure.
Thank you, Chair Hipsch, for that question. To be honest, I've been in this job for 1 year, and I still don't fully understand multi. That's how messy it is. At the very broad level, it's an attempt made by campuses so that the student is charged the appropriate amount of tuition and the appropriate fee. And it was designed as a system when we had a very few handful of students taking courses across campuses. So right now what we do is we try very hard, and this goes back to Regent Johnson's question of when a student is taking a course at other campus, they're a full-time student at their home campus, they take a course at the other campus. The campus where they're taking a course puts in course fees and some student fees, and their home campus has their own fees, and the tuition has to be divided amongst them. And all this is done manually today in my units. And like all manual processes, there are exceptions made, and depending on how hard the student pushes, we make arrangements. And that is something we believe as a work group is right. And as a default, it should work to help students take courses and not be a barrier or a hindrance.
Thank
So
you.
I don't know if I answered your question, but.
Yeah, I think you did. President Cunningham.
Yeah, Regent Hips, first of all, my thanks to the committee. And you know, for the board, if I take it up one level than this, so I think this is really exciting work. This is hours and hours and hours of work. It is implementing this will be a very big lift. So they've made this presentation look very simple and very streamlined. Each of these recommendations will be entire task forces working, you know, just the academic calendar component. I mean, which moves where and how that happens, and something with the state fair, there's lots of things there, right? All of these will require a tremendous lift. And one of the things we're working around here is we want a system feel, but we don't want to pay for a system office. Right. So University of California and Wisconsin have entire offices and infrastructure built to make their systems work. We're not proposing that, obviously, for many reasons, you know, that are our fiscal reality, but we are trying then to get some of the system functions in place without having a system office. And so that's where these system collaboratives and, you know, with the good work of some of this will fall under our new vice president of strategic initiative to help coordinate, but one doesn't begin to have system functions that are coordinated without real people doing the work than to make those happen. So we're piecemealing together those pieces. And each one of them is going to require a fair amount of lift underneath. And some of them will also require budgetary lifts underneath. Some of them won't. Some of them are a lot of effort and not budget costs. Some of them are budget changes, and we'll need to figure out what will it cost to have an email system that doesn't have those dots after it. Bernie fortunately isn't here to have his eyebrows go up. But you know, so those things will be things that we're then rolling out. So this is the beginning of their putting their recommendations forward. And then this will be multi-year work where each of these task force then goes back and dives in deep and gives us information about what the barriers are. Some of these will be possible, some others will emerge. Some we may decide then have too high of an implementation, either risk or cost or effort, and we'll put to a side. But this is the first time we've tried to really think about what some of these things that seem obvious and awful overdue to be addressed at the system level. So I'm very excited about the work, but I want to also set the expectation that we're at the very beginning of making the recommendations, and then it will be a multi-year process to get some of these things there.
Thank you. Regent Verhalen.
Thank you, Chair Hipsch. And to President Cunningham's point, I'm really looking forward to seeing where the progress is and where we find those issues. I mean, we have systems, counting systems, people systems, enrollment systems that have been built over decades. The way we look at them today and undoing that and reconfiguring it is a mammoth effort. And as you mentioned, even just removing the campus specific from an email address or reorganizing the websites so that they are more cohesive and more connected. It is very easy to say, well, can't you just fix it? It is much more difficult to actually fix it. And so it will be very interesting to see where those road bumps are and what options we have to address those as we go along. I have full faith and confidence in the team and those who are working on each of these issues and will be working on each of these issues as they emerge. But anything we can do to meaningfully make the system more accessible to students and the public, the better. It's very easy for those of us on the inside to say, oh, you just go here and it's, 16 hyperlinks in. Easy to find, right? It's very difficult for those who are just learning about the University of Minnesota and wanting to learn about the University of Minnesota and the different ways in which they can interact with the University of Minnesota to try and understand where they need to go and how. So thank you.
If I may, Regent Verheugen and Chair Hips. So this is one of the reasons, as opposed to biting off sort of everything, this task force focused on the student experience across the campuses as a place of our core mission to address. So this committee purposely is not focusing on, for example, all the peak operational systems. It is not focusing on, we have a separate full strategic plan being built around enrollment management, a system enrollment plan. I'll update you more on that work over this next year. It will be completed in January. So that system enrollment and how we move people in communications across which campus they should enroll, that is outside of this group's work, which is focused then really on the student experience and how a student moves around and or experiences the campus. So I just want to narrow the focus from all things to what this group is doing for system optimization. And then really have us think about as the work grew out of the year, I want to call out something that the team highlighted, but really for us to think about is at some point, one of the newer people that we brought on over the years said, why is it the system? Why is it not just the university? Right? So at some point, it's the university with 5 campuses and not the system. But that requires us to stop thinking about one campus as the university, any of the one campuses as the university, and have the university is the system and present ourselves to the world as the university with 5 campuses. So there's a lot of mind shifts that will go on there and a lot of communications work and other to do. But so great start for work that will go a lot of interesting places. I'm really grateful to the team that dug in this year, a lot of hours and time.
Regent Turner.
Yes, thank you, Chair Hepsch. Thank you to the team for all those excellent recommendations. Boy, I wish that would have been there in 1978, but you know how it goes. Anyway, my question is what kind of, and I think you might have alluded to this, what kind of update reports, as we work our way through all these recommendations, and some I'm assuming are going to cost more than others, et cetera. What kind of updates and reports can we expect?
Yeah. So I would expect that we would bring back to you updates from this committee and from the different task forces that are rolling out of this committee from each of these initiatives. And, you may see glimmers of this in our strategic planning process also, which also would be having updates. So as we build into those things being together. Yeah. So it won't be the last time that you see it, and we'll be biting off. Each of these will then have to have timelines associated with them, work groups associated with them, developed budgets associated with them, and we'll have to then move them forward.
Good. Anybody else have anything? If not, we'll move on to our next item. Thank you, presenters, and we
Thank you so
appreciate
much.
the hard work of the committee. So thank you. So speaking of systemness, our next item is a report on alumni engagement across the university. Let me welcome our presenters for this item. Crookston Director of Advancement and Alumni Relations, Kevin Thompson. Duluth Senior Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving, Matthew Duffy. Morris Alumni Relations Officer Jeff Lamberty, Rochester's Director of Development and Alumni Relations Lindsay Hemker, and University of Minnesota Alumni Association President and CEO Lisa Lewis. Thank you all for joining us, and President Cunningham, would you like to start the discussion?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The alumni engagement item is following the system optimization report is a great segue, as certainly it was recommended also in that system optimization report. That committee independently suggested that we do more work here thinking about alumni system as a system. So as we continue the conversation about operating that university system that's greater than our parts, it makes sense for the alumni conversation to be part of that. We all have to work together, alumni from across our 5 campuses to support and express pride for the University of Minnesota with all its 5 campuses. And the team here to present includes representation from all the campuses. And I'm grateful to the chancellors and to Lisa Lewis for their support of this work. Thank you and welcome today.
Thank you. Chair Hips, President Cunningham, and members of the board. Good morning. I'm Kevin Thompson, Director of Advancement and Alumni Relations here at the University of Minnesota Crookston. Welcome to Crookston. It's a great pleasure to host you and on our beautiful campus today. And thank you for the opportunity to share and update our on alumni engagement across the university. We are taking a new approach this year and looking at alumni engagement from a university-wide perspective. This is a traditional report of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association, which is required by the Board of Regents. I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues in alumni relations from across the University of Minnesota. Together, we'll illustrate how alumni are making a difference at the University of Minnesota, across the state, and beyond. In your written materials for today's docket, you'll find this presentation along with the summaries of our major accomplishments in alumni engagement for each campus over the past year. Next slide, please. To start, I'm excited to share right here first that our system-wide alumni community now includes 641,000 living graduates worldwide. Of that total, 62% live right here in Minnesota, making our presence across the state both strong and visible. This number is more than a statistic. It's a reminder of just how vast, connected, and influential the University of Minnesota Alumni Network truly is. Next slide, please. The recent economic and community impact report confirmed what we've long known. University of Minnesota alumni are a driving force in the state's economy. They work across every industry and collectively contribute an estimated $65.9 billion to Minnesota's economy. They are creating jobs and building businesses like Jennifer Miller, a Morris graduate and owner of Blue Heron Body Home, and Cindy Seward, a Crookston alum who founded Wood from the Hood. Both Jennifer and Cindy are featured in the UMAA's Minnesota alumni market. The alumni market reached an all-time high of more than 250 alumni-owned businesses from 4 campuses this past year. We celebrate this milestone as well as the entrepreneurial spirit of grads. Alumni are also creating pathways to opportunity and building community in their workplaces. Chris Woodbury, a 2-time Carlson School graduate, leads the Best Buy Alumni Network, helping University of Minnesota grads stay connected and support one another professionally. And speaking of alumni across every industry, I'm going to pass the baton to Lindsay Hemker with the Rochester campus, who's joining us via Zoom this morning to talk about the alumni impact in Minnesota healthcare.
Thank you, Kevin. Good morning. As Kevin mentioned, I'm Lindsay Hemker, Director of Development and Alumni Relations at the University of Minnesota Rochester. University of Minnesota alumni are essential to the state's healthcare system. We are proud that around 70% of the state's health professional workforce are trained right here at the university. From rural clinics to world-class hospitals, U of M alumni are making sure Minnesotans receive the care that they need. At the Rochester campus, 100% of our students have passion to make a difference in the world through health. More than 80% are from Minnesota, and most aspire to stay right here and serve communities across the state. One example is Dr. Hannah Elsen-Peter. She moved from a rural Minnesotan town to attend Rochester as part of our first graduating class in 2013. She continued to medical school and is now serving OB and primary care patients in Crosby, Minnesota. Another example is Dr. Ross Perko, a Duluth graduate who earned his degree undergraduate and medical at the Duluth campus. He now serves as a pediatric hematologist and oncologist at Essentia Health in Duluth, where he's known for his strong connections to the local community and his patients. Our alumni aren't just part of Minnesota's healthcare system, they are helping lead it with heart and purpose. Next slide, please. In addition to bringing their talent to the state and beyond, alumni bring valuable perspectives to the university priorities. The UMAA invited alumni to weigh in on the forthcoming Maroon, Gold, and Bold strategic plan, and they had plenty to say. There is an executive summary of their responses in your materials. The topics that came up most frequently include commitment to research excellence, affordability, and access to higher education, institutional integrity, academic freedom and free speech, and campus safety and inclusivity. This word cloud gives you a quick glimpse of what's on their mind. Next slide, please. Building on what we heard from alumni during the strategic plan survey, it's clear that the University of Minnesota alumni have an extraordinary ability to elevate and support the university's mission. And their engagement reaches into every corner and every campus of the university. To help us better understand and align alumni engagement and university priorities, we've organized an alumni impact into 6 areas seen on the screen. Alumni serve as advocates, driving legislative support, mentors and role models, enhancing student success, influencers, shaping enrollment and reputation, loyal enthusiasts, strengthening community and belonging, volunteers, expanding our capacity and our reach, and donors, helping making the U of M affordable and accessible. With this model, we ensure alumni engagement is strategic, measurable, and deeply connected to the university's future. I'm now going to hand things off to Jeff Lamberty with the Morris campus.
Thank you, Lindsay. Good morning. I'm Jeff Lamberty, Alumni Relations Officer at the University of Minnesota Morris. One of the key ways alumni support the university is as influencers, helping elevate our reputation and inspire future students and their families to enroll at the University of Minnesota. Across the university, there are more than 147,000 alumni staying informed, acting as ambassadors, wearing their maroon and gold with pride, and actively encouraging others to consider the U of M. Their promotion of the U and the value of their degrees directly impacts how the university is perceived. For example, Anaf Priyo, a 2019 Morris graduate, has remained deeply engaged since earning his degree. He now represents the Morris campus at college fairs, where he enthusiastically connects with prospective students and their families across the state. Another example is Annie Griffiths, a Twin Cities alumna and internationally acclaimed photographer. She returned to campus as the 2024 Homecoming Grand Marshal. And during her visit, she shared her U of M pride in a WCCO interview that reached thousands of Minnesotans. These alumni help amplify the university's story and invite the next generation to be a part of it. Next slide. We also see firsthand how alumni serve as mentors and role models, directly supporting student success. For example, Alec James, a recent graduate from Rochester, volunteers his time to help students explore careers at the Mayo Clinic. And in Duluth, 140 alumni mentors were matched with students this year, providing personalized guidance and career coaching that builds confidence and opens doors. In addition to the formal mentor programs offered by many schools and colleges, the UMAA powers the Maroon and Gold Network, a free online platform that connects University of Minnesota students and alumni for career advice and mentorship. There are more than 16,000 alumni mentors and role models across the university who are helping students grow their network and increase social capital. Students from all 5 campuses have easy access to this global alumni network. Next slide, please. Another powerful way alumni make a difference is through legislative advocacy. In the yellow, we highlight the many tactics alumni take to be strong and trusted voices for the university. Whether it's attending in-district events with their elected representatives, sending personal messages of support, or writing letters to the editor, alumni are living examples of what is possible with a U of M degree. This year, more than 1,100 alumni advocates took action in support of the university, amplifying our impact with lawmakers and community leaders. Additional highlights from this past year in advocacy include 7 letters to the editor written by alumni in communities across Minnesota. We have highlighted one such letter from Regent Emerita Maureen Reed on the university and Essentia's proposed healthcare solution. 21 alumni-led meetings with legislators during U of M Day at the Capitol, On the slide, we have a picture of the Morris group of students, staff, and alumni who made it to St. Paul. I'm in the middle there. And finally, 6 alumni socials hosted across the state, bringing together 16 elected officials and more than 170 alumni. We are pleased that a number of you could join us for these events hosted in Austin, Brooklyn Park, Bruton, Duluth, Robbinsdale, and Rochester. On the slide, we have a picture from the Austin social that was hosted at the Hormel Institute. Collectively, this grassroots advocacy helps strengthen public support for the university and ensures alumni voices are heard where it matters most. Next slide, please. Alumni advocacy doesn't stop at the state level. Their influence extends to Washington, D.C. As federal policy changes affected higher education and the U, the UMAA has urged alumni to stand up for the university using a 3-pronged approach. First, it ensures that alumni have access to accurate information. The UMAA's weekly digital newsletter provides regular updates on federal policy impacts with links to the university sources for more information. The UMAA is also on the front lines of alumni service, answering questions from alumni on these topics and correcting misinformation they may have heard from other sources. Second, it educates alumni on the impact of these changes on the university. The UMAA hosted 2 webinars featuring Dr. Peter Crawford and Dr. Shashank Priya regarding federal research funding and why it matters. And finally, it inspires action. More than 1,500 alumni tuned into these webinars to learn what's at stake and how they can take effective action. We'll continue to lean into the important role alumni can play at both the state and national level. I'll now turn things over to Matt Duffy of Duluth.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning, I'm Matt Duffy, the Senior Director of Alumni Relations and Annual Giving at the University of Minnesota Duluth. Being part of a community means showing up, and that's what more than 45,000 loyal enthusiasts do for the University of Minnesota. They demonstrate their pride by returning to campus for arts and athletics events. They stay engaged through alumni networks across the country and around the globe. They're UMAA members, season ticket holders, and lifelong learners who explore the world through alumni travel. These are the alumni we count on time and again. For example, in Duluth, alumni volunteers hosted regional gatherings in 12 cities across the country, from Massachusetts to Hawaii, as part of the 7th annual Bulldogs on the Block celebration. And on the Twin Cities campus, the Midwest Greek Step Show returned after a 10-year hiatus, bringing energy, pride of identity, and a sense of belonging back to the Northrop stage. Loyal enthusiasts are the heartbeat of our alumni community, showing up, giving back, and spreading maroon and gold pride wherever they go. Next slide. Like many graduates, enthusiasm transforms into volunteerism. And we are grateful to have thousands of committed alumni volunteers who bring their time, talent, and wisdom to support the university. This year, more than 7,300 alumni volunteers raised their hand to help. They serve on university advisory boards, they lead our alumni networks around the world, and they bring thought leadership to important committees and as classroom and event speakers. At Morris, they support programs like Community of Scholars, where alumni conducted more than 70 interviews with high-achieving students striving for academic scholarships. At Rochester, Sarah Bang graduated in 2021 and is serving as the first Rochester director on UMAA's board of directors. And at Crookston, Dr. Carrie Torkelson continues to have significant impact by serving on advisory boards, recommending potential students, and donating to the university. Next slide. We celebrate all the ways alumni give back as influencers, mentors, and role models, advocates, loyal enthusiasts, volunteers, and donors. And in FY24, alumni were generous. More than 36,000 alumni gave more than $218 million to the university, representing 40% of all university donors and 56% of all. Generous alumni benefactors give in transformative ways, like June and Lester Nielsen of Crookston, whose gifts have paid for 4 years of tuition for more than 70 rural students in county. And now I'll pass the baton to Lisa Lewis with UMAA to close it out.
Thank you, Matt. Good morning. I'm Lisa Lewis, President and CEO of the University of Minnesota Alumni Association. As you've heard from my colleagues, their stories and the engagement numbers, there is great alumni relations work going on in all 5 campuses. And while we're really proud of these efforts and the impact of the alumni, we see greater potential ahead. With President Cunningham's leadership and the support of assistant chancellors, we are beginning to explore how we strategically engage alumni across the entire university. Our shared vision is that all alumni champion the University of Minnesota, the value of the U of M education, and the distinct strengths of each campus. We believe that deeper coordination across the university could positively impact alumni engagement, university brand and reputation, enrollment, student success, legislative support, and philanthropy. Next slide. Over the next year, we will engage an advisory group of alumni and staff to explore how we can leverage the full strength of all 641,000 alumni to support the students, each other, and the university. Imagine the power of that alumni body. We'll examine the various issues and provide insights and perspectives to the president and the chancellors as we work through what that could look like. Our goal is to have a clear framework for deeper university-wide collaboration while recognizing and valuing the unique identity and alumni relationships of each campus. Next slide, please. And as we wrap up this part of our report, I want to end with gratitude for a number of people. So first, to my colleagues sitting beside me, we are beginning a journey together, and I look forward to that collaboration. Second, to the alumni relations officers and all the alumni staff members who work on every campus. Today, the 5 of us have the privilege of sharing the collective work that we all do. And with this many alumni, it truly is a team effort. Third, the alumni volunteers who empower our work around the world. As Kevin noted at the beginning, this has traditionally been a UMAA report to the Regents, and I've had the honor of sharing the table and the space with volunteer leaders. So I do want to take a moment to give them a shout out. To Tony Wagner, our 88th chair of the UMAA. He's a dedicated volunteer leader, and we appreciate his wisdom, business acumen, and many, many hours of volunteer service. And we are welcoming the 89th chair of the UMAA, Betsy Voss, who is a College of Design graduate. She is the founder and owner of her own architecture firm, Studio BV. And she has given so much time already to the university, and we look forward to her leadership in this next year. Next slide, please. And as we think about volunteer leadership, on behalf of the alumni, I want to thank each of you for your volunteerism as members of the Board of Regents. We recognize the substantial amount of time that you spend in between meetings, listening to many voices, attending events, advocating for the university, and deliberating on substantial policy decisions. Your public service makes our university and our state stronger. And we recognize that it's not always easy, but it is very important, and we notice. This year, I'm sitting in front of 8 regents, and I want to extend alumni gratitude to the 4 regents who just stepped down. Regents Mayron, Talyarabe, Piñana, and Davenport. They've left an indelible mark on the university. And finally, we want to thank all the individuals who have raised their hand over the past 9 months to apply to be on this board through the Regent Candidate Advisory Council. Their interest and willingness to step up and go through the process matters. The conversations they've had with legislators about the future of this university make a difference. The alumni look forward to welcoming the new regents and working with all 12 of you to advance the university's mission. And that concludes our remarks, that we're happy to hear any feedback you have or any questions.
Thank you. Thank you for a great presentation. You know, I wrote down a few comments that I have. It's not going to come to a surprise as anybody that I love this a lot. You know, we have 641,000 stories out there to tell, and the university impacted their lives, and now they're impacting other people's lives, and it's the full circle. So I wrote this down: having a system-wide alumni association that connects grads from all University of Minnesota campuses, Crookston, Duluth, Morris, Rochester, and the Twin Cities, makes us stronger. From a Regents perspective, it's all about celebrating all of our alumni and building one big united community. when we come together, we don't just share stories and memories, we have real clout. A connected alumni network helps us advocate, support students, grow philanthropy, and make sure the University of Minnesota stays strong across the entire state and beyond. So that's just what I wrote down. Does anybody have any questions or discussion? It was a great presentation. Thank you. And thank you for your willingness to come together and make this change. We just heard earlier how tough change can be. But this is, you guys are really, you're on the cutting edge of this. So thank you. Regent Johnson.
Yeah, thank you again for the reports. As this is directed primarily to Lisa, but for the involvement of others as well. Can you, I mean, the Alumni Association is so helpful in fundraising and all the other things. Is there explicitly a way that you're working to help recruit new students? When you go to communities and we deal with alumni here and other parts of the state, is that part of the process, or is that something you could work on, further?
Chair Hipsch and Regent Johnson, yes, it is part of the process, and we're doing it really by campus now. And I think we had a really good example of Morris, and the young alum from Morris doing that. And we do that as well, particularly nationally. We reach out, working very collaboratively with the admissions office to do that and kind of build a bigger national profile for a pipeline of students. I think the dream is that all of those 641,000 alumni could recruit for all 5 campuses.
Yeah.
And they would know enough about the campuses and they would feel connected as part of one community. So it's not just Twin Cities alumni promoting the Twin Cities campus. It is Morris alumni who understand that going to Duluth or going to Crookston is a great option. And they're able to talk to their kids and their neighbors and their friends about that as well. And so we become brand ambassadors for enrollment among 641,000.
Sounds great. Anybody from a specific campus have any comments or experience about that?
Chair Hipsch and Regent Johnson, I totally agree with what Lisa said. I think we all have our own approaches to what you are asking. We do have in our communication to our alumni periodically to say, hey, if you know of students, if you have grandchildren or children or neighbors that would love to learn more, point them our way so we can provide that great information. And they're great advocates, of course, about coming to the university. We also have other events like homecoming where we can create opportunities for alumni and students to interact. And also during our UMC or University of Minnesota Crookston Career and Internship Fair, so a lot of our employers that come back are alum of our campus. And so they have a great opportunity to talk to the students that are looking for opportunities in those workplaces. So there are a number of opportunities and it's always looking for more opportunities to increase that interaction and encouragement.
Regent Johnson, I'd love to share some of the practical solutions we've been working on at UMD. We recently piloted a program that allows alumni to contact prospective students directly via email to kind of tell them about their experience and encourage them to attend and answer any questions they might have. And more recently, at our big end of year celebration for our graduating seniors, we had a video booth where we took videos of seniors reflecting on what their time was like at UMD. And we're going to use admissions office enrollment management will use those videos and recruiting tools to try to give students, prospective students, an inside look at kind of what it's like when you're all done 4 years later and you finish your degree and how proud you are to be a Bulldog and part of this university system.
Yeah, fantastic. Great, thank you so much.
Well, on that same line, I mean, it's like ensuring student success while they're here. Lisa, do you want to talk about the mentoring program that you guys are doing and how that helps with recruiting and retention and everything else?
Sure. I think we mentioned before, the Maroon and Gold Network is a digital platform where alumni can sign up. We're represented by over 16,000 alumni from 74 countries in every single industry. And it is open to students on all 5 campuses. And we think by coordinating more and working together, we can grow those numbers and help students really see that as an asset that when I come to the University of Minnesota, regardless of which campus I choose, I'm going to get an outstanding education. And for the rest of my life, I am going to be backed by this group of alumni who care about me and are going to not only help me think about my career exploration as a student in my first job, but my second and third job as well. And that alumni network is powerful and an asset, and I should consider the University of Minnesota seriously. So we want the alumni network to become known, visible, and a recruiting advantage for every single campus.
Great.
President Cunningham.
Yeah, I'll finish your Chair Hipsch and with many thanks across this group here and a little bit in my comments to the last time. First of all, I want to thank the chancellors also who have thrown their support towards this, which is again, looks simple and streamlined in the way it's presented, but is actually a really radical concept here that we're going to not operate in these very distinct silos of alumni, but consider ourselves across the system. And as our alumni, as we know, move across the state, they may graduate from Morris and live in Duluth. They may graduate from the Twin Cities and live in Rochester. How do we think about this as a University of Minnesota alumni community? And I just want to thank you both for the work you've done as well for the work that you're going to do in this coming year to actually make this a reality, because it's another big lift and a lot of culture change to do. But I really believe we can use it as a way to highlight each of the individual campuses' strengths while pulling on this network in a way that is some. So I want to thank everybody for the work you're going to do and thank the chancellors for the work that you're going to continue to do to reinforce this all across your campuses, because I know it is going to be a lift. See you in the back there, Charles. Thank you.
Can I make one short comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Just want to say that we've been at several meetings now in Rochester. I'm not an alum myself, but I'm very excited about these things. And as UMR is there and has a great reputation in the community and all that's going on, we're seeing kind of a revival. People are saying this is the most active things we've been doing, in a long time. So that gives us an opportunity in that quarter of the state to increase our visibility and recruiting.
Very good. Anybody else have anything? Otherwise, thank you very much. Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, no committees have met since the June meeting, so there are no committee reports. This brings us to unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business to come before the board? New business? Seeing none. Okay, there's no additional board business before the board, so this meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.